Welcome to Below the Surface, the podcast where we go beyond the small talk and dive deep into the conversations that matter.
From personal growth to the complexities of human behaviour, we explore the stories, ideas, and experiences that shape our world without the fluff.
Expect raw, thought-provoking discussions with fascinating guests and plenty of insights to challenge the way that you think.
So if you're ready to look below the surface, you're in the right place.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Below the Surface. I am Maureen Joyce.
I am Ciarán Quinn.
And today I get to interrogate Ciarán.
Let's go.
So, hard question. Maybe it's not a hard question. Maybe you find it an easy question. Who is Ciarán Quinn?
That's, there's so many different aspects to that question, isn't there? That's a tough question.
If you had to, let's just say if we were to try and, I know we'll obviously go into it, but if you were to answer that in just kind of one short, one or two sentences.
I would say I'm go-getter, get up, disciplined, and ready to kind of take on what kind of comes at me.
Ready to take on
there
the world.
There we go, resilient, I would say, yeah. That's been built up.
Are you ready to take on producer Gavin when he deletes the stuff? Okay, so I suppose if we talk about your story and we try and get into a bit of the background about you, so take us back to the start, I suppose. If we think about what got you into where we are now, personal development, into this kind of scene. Have you always been like this? What would you say?
Okay, so no, I haven't always been like this. Probably the complete opposite, I would say. So we'll start from teenage years, I suppose. Just feeling incredibly lost, I would say. No direction, no purpose. I'd say maybe most teenagers just trying to fit in, fitting in the wrong places maybe, doing the wrong things, going out drinking, messing about with stuff I shouldn't have been messing about with, probably not aligning in the right people I should be aligning with. Could be in situations that could be 100 people in the room and you feel just alone, and I knew, I didn't really I wasn't really educated enough to kind of ask myself why, I was kind of just this must be normal, I was just kind of went through my whole kind of teens like that.
Did you question, did everybody feel alone in the room, or did you think that it was just a problem with you?
That thought never even came into my head, so it didn't. It was literally this must just be the way everyone feels.
Right, okay.
Yeah, I never really questioned it, in that regard. I was just I would just go ahead with it, and it was that went on, to be honest with you, I would say, I've only kind of really started to find myself in the last maybe 2 years, of I started to come around to it a bit more, as in as I got into my late 20s, I was this just doesn't feel right, going through this and feeling the way I'm feeling, and I started then to kind of to wake up and I was there has to be more to this, there's reasons why I'm doing this, or why I'm doing the wrong things.
Yeah. So I'd say at the time of going out and stuff like that, or going out at the weekend, were you buzzed to go out and stuff like that, or excited, or were you oh, well, I just have to do this now because this is what all my friends are doing? Or
in the beginning, yeah, it's a buzz. It's a novelty in the beginning. You kind of you start drinking and you're going out, you're meeting girls or whatever. That's the novelty's there.
Yeah.
This is great. But that got very stale very quickly.
But did you continue to do it when you noticed it was getting stale?
Yeah.
You did.
Yeah.
And at that point, we'll say now that you kind of noticed that, okay, it's not really much of a novelty. Did you find that, were you annoyed going out, or feeling you had to do it, or? Were you still kind of like, oh, well, this is just what I do. I'm a teenage lad.
Then in the beginning, yeah, in the beginning, that was like that for a long time, I would say. Whereas, like, do you know, this is just the Irish culture. Do you know,
Yeah.
this sort of bullshit, like, do you know, do you know, like, yeah, everyone does it, so I'll do it as well, like, do you know. And then, like, the more I would do it, like, so I was obviously so unhappy, like, when I wasn't drinking, that like that's why I would drink then, do you know,
Okay,
because
yeah.
it would give you that buzz, but like it'd give you the buzz to the extent as in where like the come down just wasn't worth it, like, do you know, do you know, and like I was getting to the stage where I was just like going out and I was just blacking out, I mean like the majority of my nights out were like, do you know, I didn't even know if I was out or not at all, like, do you
And
know.
like, would you be drinking an awful like
Yeah, I would
you
go out to
just
get
to get
absolutely oblivious.
paralytic? Yeah.
Paralytic, just get shots. I remember I was going through a stage where I would just hammer shots to the
Yeah.
extent where I just it was a blank space.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I could have done anything.
And then the next day you wouldn't have a clue what
Not
you.
a clue. And the
No.
fear of that, like, I remember I used to wake up and I used to have like a checklist where I'd get up and I'd kind of, I'd check my pockets and I'd check for my cards and stuff like that. I'd check my mouth just to make sure I
Just
had all my
all your
teeth.
teeth.
You know, and I'd go in and I'd look in the mirror. More times than not, I'd have a black eye than I wanted to have. Do you know, like,
Oh,
and
jeez.
then, you know, you have to walk up to the kitchen then, and that's not great either. Like, do you know,
No.
and this was just a constant cycle of just bullshit. Like, do you know, of the same fucking thing every night. Like, do you know, go out, get paralytic, do something fucking stupid.
So
The
how
odd.
often a week would you drink, or was that just on the weekend?
Oh, look, there's times there where I was going through. I was doing the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Do you know,
Yeah.
and you'd be sitting there on the Sunday. Do you know, and like, you just be like thinking, you know, you sort of come around then after like the fourth day, and you're like, this is just crazy, like, do you know, and then you do the same thing again next weekend, and you
And
just
would you have ever said it to your friends then, like, this is crazy, like, what are we doing?
never,
No.
never. It was never talked about. It was
No.
just like, do you know, you're nearly a dry shot if you didn't go out, like,
Yeah.
do you know.
So if you had mentioned it, they'd probably, would they have been like, oh, what are you talking about? Or made fun of you, like, for that?
Probably, like, I didn't at that stage back then. Probably, yeah. They'd be like,
Yeah.
oh, do you know, just go out, just stop being dry, like, do you
Cop
know.
on to
Yeah,
yourself.
yeah.
So then, I suppose, what then, how, or mumble my words, but what got you to the stage, or how did you realise that, okay, or what was there a specific breaking point where you're like, okay, no, I have to stop doing this shit now?
There was a few. There was a good few, but like I'd be making broken promises to myself. Like, do you know, like I'd be like, all right, this is, you know, you have to stop this. Like, and then, but I would never hold, like, I'd never hold myself accountable. Like, do you know, like I'd always kind of, do you know, a couple of weeks might pass and then you'd break again, and it was just a constant break. And like, do you know, and like it was I was dealing with stuff outside then as well. Like, do you know, I had numerous accidents. Not that there was an excuse to drink or anything like that, but like it kind of the first one that kind of really hit me was like when I damaged my eye. That was probably, do you know, that was a hard kind of like, that was a hard pill to swallow.
So do you want to just explain, like, for people that don't know, like, what happened?
Yeah. So it was just one evening. It was before a football match. I was in the kitchen and I was getting ice for my drink. Took out the ice tray, the thick plastic ice tray, and bent it that way to get ice out. It must have been frozen solidly, very solidly,
So you bent the ice tray with the ice facing up towards the ceiling?
up towards the ceiling. Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
yeah, bent it that way. The tray cracked, and then the plastic came up and pierced the right eye, detaching the retina. And I hadn't, like, I just kind of brushed it off. I was kind of like, "Oh, whatever, like, my eye's a bit watery or a bit blurry," and proceeded anyways to go down and play the football match. With the one eye, like, I had to
How
close
were
it.
we're not in excruciating pain?
No, no, it was more of a shock. I don't know if I registered the shock or not, but it was just watery and blurry. And I was like, right, we'll just go down, we'll play the game anyway. So I went down, played the game. And like when I was in the game, I was like, oh, it's not right. Like, you know, I had to keep closing the eye. So I played the game with one eye, played the game, and that was fine. Came home, went to bed, and woke up the next morning, and there was just nothing. There was just black. And I was like, oh,
Fuck.
fuck. I was like, I'm in trouble here now. So
Was that scary? Like,
yeah, oh yeah, that was terrifying. That was fucking terrifying. Yeah. So I went downstairs and I was like, I can't see out of my eye. So like we had to go to we like the first protocol. Then we were like, bring the doctor, get up to Galway as quickly as possible. Try and see can we salvage some of it. And then so like that was a procedure that took the whole summer. I was in and out of hospital for months, just kind of like when I got the operation to attach it back again, and obviously it was never going to be the same. So like after that period of time, then like I couldn't leave the hospital for like 2 straight weeks. So I was like, I remember just walking up and down the corridor, just up and down and up and down, in and out of my room. I was sharing with other patients as well, and like I was getting woken up every hour for eye drops, or some other patient might be shouting in pain or something like that. But we'd managed to get me into my own room anyway, so I had my own room, and that wasn't too bad. But it was like 2 solid weeks of just no fresh air because I couldn't go out because infections and stuff like that. So like,
so was your eye bandaged up at this stage, or had you vision back in it, or what was the
no,
story?
not at that stage. No, it was sort of taped up, and they were kind of putting the drops in and stuff like that. And then like the vision started to sort of come back. But like this is not what we're talking about really. Like it's a like foggy, blurry. There's nothing really there. And then I got the glasses then obviously, and they helped. Like they've like. So like I can get by and stuff like this the eyesight in the other eye is grand like but just that was really kind of because I felt like I was going well in football at that stage, and then so obviously then I was months out of action,
Yeah.
and I had to kind of build myself back up again, but I think I always had I had created my own realization that like this is always going like a story I was telling myself.
Yeah.
This is always going to inhibit me, and then I never fully got like when I came back from that. Then I never fully got back into the swing of things with football, and then obviously, I was starting to drink then and stuff like that, and that was taking priority.
Yeah, so especially if you're not like spending time going out doing other hobbies and stuff.
Yeah.
So they reattached the retina. Did they do anything to the lens? Did they have to put in like a
This is
lens?
like it's kind of like an artificial. There's an
Artificial
artificial,
lens.
yeah.
Oh, because you
in
must
there,
have like
yeah,
ripped
yeah,
yours.
it was completely gone, like, yeah.
Oh, just the
Yeah.
idea of that now, like,
Yeah.
it's just.
Yeah. Like you don't like it's one of those things that you take it for granted. Like
Oh,
you take your eyesight and your
big time, yeah.
everything like that. Like you kind of think like you don't take any. It's not that you don't have respect for it, but you don't appreciate it because you
Yeah.
have it.
Yeah. It's
Until
not
it's
until it's
taken
gone.
from you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Then you're like, okay.
But that must have been awful, like to wake up and be like, I just can't see out of my eye.
That was tough. Like that was really really tough. No, that was and like I don't know. Like if that. I'm always kind of trying to piece things back together, but I don't know if that caused a chain of events, as in like the depression and the anxiety and the OCD and stuff like that. I don't know, did that trigger that trauma? Because again, like I never dealt with it. I never talked about it. I just you can sort of see now, off you go. Like
Yeah.
and that's no one's fault. Like like that's just the way it was back then. Like you're not kind of like if that was to happen now, there'd probably be some sort of therapy that you could do to kind of
To kind of work through
yeah
that, yeah.
yeah
Because like you were only, what age were you roughly at this?
15 I'd say, if
Yeah.
even that 14 15, yeah.
And like to have your eyesight taken away and then to be like trapped sort of in hospital.
Yeah,
Like that must have had a toll on you mentally.
that wasn't great. No, that wasn't like the fact that you couldn't even go out, like you couldn't walk outside the front door, like you couldn't leave that area, like
Yeah,
which
that's
is
mad
like
that they'd.
yeah
You'd think they'd even bring you out, like, or
yeah
something.
yeah nothing, yeah, no, that was surreal. Yeah, just to kind of, I tell you, I was damn glad of fresh air when I got out.
Oh, yeah, I'd
Yeah,
say so.
that whole journey home, the window was down in the car the whole time, like
Like a dog with your head out the window.
just afraid nothing flew into my eye.
Yeah,
Like.
or the eye fucking gone down the road, rolling down the road. So then, okay, so you were like really struggling mentally then, like with depression, anxiety, and you said OCD as well. So I know, do you think it was like a combination of not being happy with how you're spending time with your friends, then being taken out of football, and then this like traumatic experience?
I
or-
would say so. Yeah. I would say so. And like growing up, I was definitely mentally weak, I would say, looking back on it now, comparing to the person I am now. Um, very like, like tipped over the edge very easily. Couldn't really deal with any kind of issues at all. Like, like I'd be very
So
just
what would
kind of.
that look like? How would you respond to like something that was of a struggle to you?
So like that could be just like, that nauseous feeling, like struggling to sleep, just
Mm.
fear, like doom, gloom.
And
You
you'd
know,
never say anything to your
never. I
family
wouldn't
or
really say it.
anything.
Like I'd say the odd. Like there was one or two times that I would say, like when it really got much, like
Mm.
that I'd be like, I think I need to talk to someone now. Like this is driving me nuts. Like. And my parents are great. They're brilliant. Like I couldn't ask for better parents. Like
Yeah.
they're very supportive, and they'll always kind of like support me in anything I do. Like, which is great. So like I would say, like I would have said it to my mum. Maybe would like when it got a bit much to go and talk to someone. But I remember I went to therapy, and like the first protocol was right. Here's a prescription for antidepressants
Straight away.
straight away, like, and I was just like, at that stage, then I was like, all right, sound, I'll just take them.
Yeah.
But then the more kind of clued in I got, I was like, I just cannot take these, like, so like, I just can't, like, I put up with it for another while or whatever. But like the
Mm.
OCD had got so bad, like it was just, it had drove me to a stage where I had to do something.
Yeah. So
So,
so what kind of symptoms would you have in terms of OCD back then?
so like, real bad fear. I had a real bad fear of dying. It was like I couldn't, like I was afraid I was gonna, like, germs on my hands or cuts on my hands. I had a mad thing of like I couldn't touch things, or I had to open doors with my elbow. I like there even the remote control, like I
Mm.
had to like kind of maneuver in a way that I wouldn't be and if I did touch it, I'd have to go and wash. Like I used to wash my hands to the extent that they would open up and bleed, like, do you
Yeah.
know like there would be cracks in all of my knuckles where I just would, like, I'd be in, and I'd have a routine where I'd have to make sure the whole hand was washed, and then when I had them washed, I'd open the door with my elbow, like, and I'd like it was sort of, it was very intense, like, and it was like if I'd done something or touched something, like I'd be like, what if that gets infected now, or like, and I'd be like really working myself up, like
Yeah.
really bad, like
Do you
touch it,
think is
like.
that from like, the accident and then being in hospital?
Possibly,
Yeah.
possibly. Again, like I'd never really sat with it, like, to
Yeah.
kind of realize, and like it was taking over my whole life, like, like I remember, like, mum would be cooking me dinner, like, and I'd be asking her had she washed her hands, and like it was awful, like real intense, like,
Yeah.
and like you could see how that would really kind of get to
Oh,
someone, like,
it'll mess
and
with your head like totally.
big time mess with your head, like it stopped me from doing things, and like
So how did you overcome that then?
I overcame that. I overcame it myself. Like I never
Yeah.
got any help for it. Like I got off. I went off I went off all of the antidepressants, and I that's when I started to kind of get into fitness and stuff like that, and try and, like, I was out of shape, and I just felt sluggish and just didn't
Mm.
look great, and had a terrible, like, relationship with myself, like, like my inner dialogue was
Yeah.
was horrendous, like, so I just started to go bit by bit. I was like, right, I'll get into fitness now, and as I got into fitness then and started to change my lifestyle, like the OCD started to kind of not come around as much. It's
Okay.
hard to explain it because it's hard to explain how something that intense would just kind of simmer out, like,
Yeah.
like, because I didn't have any, like, real therapy for it, like, it was something I kind of mastered myself, like.
And why do you think you went into fitness, like specifically, or like going to the gym and stuff like that? Do you know, you could have went into anything.
I know. I suppose it's a tough one. Again, I was like, it might have been for the wrong reasons, but it turned right. So like, again, it was more sort of a, like, right, I'm not doing anything good here. So like, I'm gonna try and validate myself through getting myself in shape or getting myself bigger, get myself stronger, that kind of way. Might have been for the wrong reasons initially,
Yeah, yeah.
do you know, which turned into to be for a good reason. Then, yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does
Yeah.
make sense. And would you have? I don't even know. We didn't have social media, or we had Bebo and
Vivo, yeah.
stuff like that. So, where would your perception of this is like the man I should be? Where would that have really come from in terms of bigger, stronger?
I suppose back then it was like magazines and stuff, and like kind of,
Or men's health?
yeah, that sort of stuff. Like
Yeah.
would have been kind of like, geez, you'd see someone there and you'd be like, geez, that'd be alright to look like that, like, do you know, that kind of way.
Yeah.
And I would go from there. But I brought some toxic traits into the into my journey with personal or with fitness, like as in like um borderline eating disorders, maybe body dysmorphia, that sort of stuff, like having to look a certain way or not feeling worthy then if you didn't look that way, and like kind of not feeding my body what it needed, but expecting it to do things that, you know, it didn't have the fuel to do, like,
Yeah.
you know, so it's like starving myself and just running myself into the ground. It was like a punishment thing. So it was like I was punishing myself.
For what?
Again,
Don't know.
don't know. Just maybe like, yeah, like I'm at peace with kind of my teenage years and stuff like that. But maybe punishing myself for that,
Yeah, interesting.
for just, you know, all the rubbish that was
All the stuff that you'd done that you
done
didn't
in my
want to be,
in my
didn't want to
teenage
be doing.
years, like, you know, like.
So then after school and that, like I know you moved to Australia, but so when did you move to Australia?
So I moved to Australia, I think I was 24. Again, I had moved to Australia as in like, so I was still doing, like, bear in mind now, like, this is like, I'm 24 here and I'm still doing the same kind of rubbish that I was doing, you know, back when I was a teenager. Like, I was still like, you know, getting blackout drunk and, you know, like doing stuff I didn't want to do. Deep down, I didn't want to do it, like, but I was still doing it. So I was like, right, so maybe I'll just get away from here, you know. But again, like,
So to get away from all that?
get away
Yeah.
from this side, and probably naively probably thought get away from the problems, but the problems don't need a boarding pass, do they?
No, they come with
They'll
you.
hop on that
They
seat
don't
right
need no
beside
pass,
you, so
yeah.
they will. Yeah, yeah,
They'll be right there.
yeah.
So you went to Australia with the idea of, like, I suppose running away from how you're feeling. But what did you do when you went over there? Or did you go over there with the idea of staying there for a long time, or
No, I went over there with no expectations,
no agenda?
no nothing. Yeah, just go over there, see how it goes, you know.
So how did it go?
Well, gee, there was like the best thing I ever done, by far, as in to a mental strength standpoint, to like a resilience standpoint, to just being able to kind of deal with stuff. And like I had to get away because like I was spoiled here, like, you know, like I had everything. I had a safety net all the time, like, you know. There was never any adversity or nothing like that, you know. And like that's why I was so mentally weak, like, you know, because I knew like that, like, no matter what I do here now, like, I'll have the safety net here, and, you know.
So you were living at home before you went.
Yeah,
And what were you working at before you
I
went?
was working in Tesco in the deli, and the meat counter, you know. So and that was a job that paid for the weekends, you know.
Okay.
Absolutely hated it. I couldn't stand it. And like I stuck at it for 9 years. You know, make sense.
Yeah, it's a
You
long
know?
time.
This is just a pure, like, I was living my whole life on just a sub or a just a subconscious program. Like, you know, I wasn't thinking about anything. I wasn't, like, I had no plans. I'd never even thought about kind of building a life for myself or
Yeah.
ever getting married, or them thoughts had never come into my head at all. Like, I was just
Existing.
existing. Exactly.
Yeah, going through
Exactly.
the
Scary,
motions.
like.
It is
That's
scary,
like
yeah.
from 16 to 30, like, that's a long time to
It
just
is
be existing, like, you know.
yeah. So then you went over to Australia. So then how was that different then? Was it different from, obviously your problems or your struggles followed you then, but so what was life like in Australia compared to what you were used to here?
Life was tough, yeah. So I'd went over with a girl I was seeing, so like obviously you're not, like, it's not just you in the equation here, like, you know. there's two people here, like, so like, we went over. You're going over to a different country. You're setting up a whole new life, and we were just getting by, like, like we took a holiday before we started, just to kind of break the ice.
Yeah.
And then you get into the nitty gritty. So you're out on the farm, you're doing farm work, or you're like out in the outback. It's completely, like, I can't even explain the difference between here and there. Like, it's just crazy, like, so again, you have to fend for yourself. You have to set up all your bank accounts. You have to set up all your visas. You have to get a car. You have to get employment. Coming from a fella that didn't even have to make a slice of toast if he didn't want to, back in Ireland, like, So think about that. Like, that's a massive
change.
Massive change.
Literally, like, just thrown into the deep end, armbands off you go.
Literally, and sometimes that's not a bad thing. You kind of find out who you are fairly quickly.
Yeah.
When you're thrown into the deep end, like,
So did that work for you then, to be thrown into the deep end?
100%, 100%, yeah, 100%. So then we got a job in the outback in Victoria, in Melbourne, and that was just a nightmare. Like,
what was the job?
I was driving a tractor.
Oh yeah. Had you ever driven a tractor?
Had
before?
I hell ever driven a tractor? Never. Or drove a tractor? No, absolutely not. And I was.
And you would have probably been like, "Oh, fuck that."
Can you imagine? I'm telling you, no word of a lie. For the 3.5 years I was in Australia, my anxiety was through the roof, and I was severely dehydrated for the 3.5 years.
Dehydrated?
Yeah, I was just, you just couldn't, like, ever get hydrated. It was just so hot, like. And you're just out in there, and like, my anxiety was through the roof. Imagine sitting into a tractor and trying to, like,
no aircon.
After spoofing your man, telling him that you've drove a tractor before.
Did you even have a driver's license?
Oh, I had, yeah. And
so what were you driving? What were you doing on the tractor? Like,
I was rolling out fields for crops.
Right.
Yeah, and like, yeah, just thinking back on it now, it was just
different.
Yeah, like, completely spoofing, like. And he could see me a mile away. I was a spoofer, like.
So when you got on this tractor and you had no idea how to drive a tractor, like, what did you do? Did you know how to obviously you got going, but
I was like, oh, these are a bit different to the ones back home now. You might show me how to, and then it's just kind of try and hang on to any bit of information he's given you, like, So I was like I'll never ever sit in a tractor and drive it ever again. Like, I've no intention of ever. Like, I've done my time on tractors.
Too cool for tractors.
No, never again, never again. Yeah.
So you went out to Australia. You were on the farm, driving a tractor, and what was life like? Your problems followed you. Your anxiety was through the roof. How did you deal with the fact that, I suppose, you went out there thinking that everything was going to stay behind in Ireland, but it came with you?
Yeah. So again, it was just unhappy again. Like, I just was never happy with myself. Like, I think that was the common denominator in everything, that I just hadn't found my happiness at all with myself, like, you know. So anyways, we were out there, and like, I remember I'd come home, and there was one particular day, actually, there was there was two days in particular I can give you a good laugh about the tractor. So I was out, I'd be in these fields of my own, like, you know, and I'd just be kind of.
Would you be singing?
Oh yeah, belting a few tunes out, you know.
What would you be singing?
Oh, whatever came on the radio, whatever it was on that time. I'm trying to make a few words out of it. But I'd be driving along anyways, and it was pretty straightforward. You just had to let the roller down, and you had to roll the field, and then you had to go all the way up, and you had to turn down, and just make sure you were coming down in line again, like, you know. So I remember at one stage, anyways, I don't know what I done, but I turned the tractor around, and there was a little bit of a slope. And like, anyways, that was grand. I took off. I must have took off in the wrong way. But whatever happened, anyways, the two front wheels of the tractor went way up in the air.
Stop.
And I just slammed back down again. And I was like, oh my God, I nearly turned the tractor over. Like, and I just remember looking around just to make sure there was no one around. Like, and thankfully there was no one around, like, you know.
Yeah, because all the weight was in the back going down that slope.
And I put the foot down and whew, straight up the two wheels. I nearly turned the whole thing over, yeah.
Jesus
and it was
Christ.
like, oh, it was just
scary.
Yeah, so I was like, I got around, looked around, and just as soon as I seen no one was watching, I just got back to it again. And anyways, that was grand. Motored on throughout the day, didn't say anything to anyone, got away with it. And there was another day then, So out there they have crop dusters.
What's
So
that?
I mean, like they have like helicopter, like a plane sort of a thing that flies down and like sprays the.
Oh yeah, the
Yeah,
field with all the crops.
yeah. And I had never didn't
Right.
even know this was a thing, like,
No,
you
neither
know.
did I.
So I was driving along in the tractor and I was not a bother doing my thing, and I just seen this plane coming from me out of nowhere, and I
They're
was
coming
like,
to get
I
you.
was nearly going to jump out of the tractor. I was like, what the fuck is this thing like? And next thing it just comes down, fucking swoops down, sprays all the thing and away with it again. I was like, what the fuck is going on? I was just like, I'm not cut out for this. Like the amount of times I would get on my phone and look at flights home. And
Really?
I was like, I'm just not cut out for this. This is just horrendous. Like, you know,
So how long were you on the farm for, working there?
3 months.
Okay, and
Yeah.
what did you do after that then?
So then got a little bit better after that then because we got in the car anyways and we motored up to it was just on the border of New South Wales. So we went up there and we stayed in a hostel, like what you call backpacker hostel.
Yeah, yeah.
Mildura it was called. Cool spot. Like we met some pretty cool people up there and stuff like that. But this was more, I was more like this is probably the most calmest I was out there, I would say,
Okay.
because um, the work was more physical for me this time. So like I was picking watermelons.
Okay.
So like we were going up and down a watermelon patch. There was a tractor. There was two guys in the tractor, and there was a box to put the watermelons in and a conveyor belt. So like we'd pick up the watermelons. These were about 20 kg. These watermelons, like, you know, so
Huge.
oh, massive, absolutely huge. Like, so we'd pick them up and we'd put them on the belt, or like we'd pick them up and we'd throw them to another guy, and then he'd put them on the belt. And it was good crack, like, you know, all you were doing was just walking up and down the field, picking them, and like, you know, not rocket science.
Yeah.
So I was calm then, you know, I was kind of like, and it was physical. I was like, I like this, like, you know.
Okay, so you started to notice that moving was actually better than you just sitting on your
Correct.
arse on a tractor.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So then we stayed there for another couple of weeks, probably 6 or 7 weeks, maybe not that long. I can't remember the full length of it, but we went from there then, and we went to Sydney, and then that's when like we started kind of put down roots and stuff. You know, you get an apartment, get a dog, and get your all your bills and all your stuff set up. That was the base. That's where we were going to continue to live
Okay.
there, like, you know, and Sydney was amazing. Yeah, it's an amazing place, and I ended up getting employment then in pipeline. So I was pipeline again, just starting to learn how to walk again. This is like,
Something you'd never done before.
yeah.
How
like,
was that? Because
awful,
tradies can be,
awful,
yeah.
awful, yeah, awful bad. Yeah, and the majority of them are Irish, like, you know. So like, but like I can understand them coming, like them having to take this fella on here, like, and show him. I mean, like, show him how to
basic
use a measuring
things.
tape. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I'd never like done anything like that, or levels and measuring tapes and stuff like that. But that was just the initial phase of that was probably the toughest part, the toughest time out there, I would say, because I knew like that this is my like this is I need this job.
This
like,
is your
so,
life
yeah,
now, yeah.
yeah, like, and that was like.
So were you drinking over in America, I was going to say, in Australia?
I was, but not as much as over here.
Okay.
Yeah, and like I felt like I didn't. I feel really closed off over there. I didn't really have anyone friend wise over there, so I was kind of like if the girl I was seeing was going out with her friends, because she like I worked way out in the out, kind of not in the outback, but like I was a good 45 minutes away from Sydney, I would say, and I worked with lads that were like, you know, they were all married, they all had kids,
yeah,
and they
okay.
all kind of were doing their own thing. There was no kind of, whereas the girl I was seeing, she was all in a young community, like they had they were all the same age, they were all driving like dump trucks and stuff like that. So they had all that, and like they were in the city, and they all kind of lived near hand, so they would
Yeah.
all go and meet up and stuff like that. And like I'd go the odd time with them, but like they weren't my friends, like,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, yeah.
So like whenever she was kind of, I'd be on my own kind of, and I was just gymming out there. Like I really kind of, the gymming started to really take off then, and then I joined a football team out there, and that was, you know, again, they were all married. They were all kind of, we'd meet up the odd time. So the drinking had definitely decreased a lot over there. Like, you know, it was nowhere near to what it was here, which was good, like, you know.
And did you find like that your mental health then
Oh, 100%.
was way better?
Way better, way better. Like I'd still go through patches and stuff like that where like I like was feeling down and stuff like that, but I kind of was dealing with it a bit better, you
Okay.
know. But the work was definitely a main, like the job I was doing, like I had like serious kind of like in the mornings, like when we drive into work, like I mean, like there was one particular morning, like there was tears in my eyes when I was driving. I was like, I just can't. Like the thought of having to go in and do that job for, and this was on a Monday, and
The whole week ahead of you there.
the whole week ahead of me here. Like I was like, this is just like, how long am I going to be able to put this up for, like, you know? And I was like, and I just kept showing up, you know, like, and you know, obviously in the beginning, like, there's certain people there that aren't that nice. They weren't that nice, like, you know, they weren't that welcoming, and they were kind of like felt like they were making a laugh at you and stuff like that.
So what would you say was the catalyst then from getting you from you're living this life in Australia that you're still not really happy with? Maybe would you say you were still a bit kind of lost?
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely.
So what got you from there into the life that you live now?
So it all kind of started. I had like literally most of the stuff I kind of ingest, and most of the stuff that I found has helped me the most is come from YouTube.
Okay.
So like I would drive to work and I'd have like, do you know the motivational videos? You
Yeah,
have
yeah.
like, do you know, you might have Steve Harvey or Les Brown or one of them, like, and I would have that just on the whole time, like, do you know, and like I'd like listen to what they're saying, and they're like, do you know, it was listening to that audio, whereas is like, do you know, they're like, there's a different, you could live a different life here, like, do you know, you don't have to be, this isn't like.
So did something specific happen that you were like, okay, this is fucking it. I'm
Oh yeah, there's that feeling of like
not wanting to go to work.
yeah, like days where it seemed like weeks, like.
So then what happened? So you obviously had came to breaking point in terms of that feeling, and then you went off to do personal training.
Yeah.
You became qualified out there in
Yeah.
Australia, did you?
No, I'd qualified over there.
Oh,
I qualified over here
Oh,
before
here.
I'd left. Yeah,
Okay,
I'd
okay.
done my qualifications in England, like, but
All right, okay.
but like I had kind of gone to made the decision to myself, whereas in like, right, I'm not good at this sort of stuff, like the construction sort of stuff. So I was like, I'm just going to work like a dog, do you know? So I'm just going to work like a dog here, and I'll like gain respect that way.
Okay.
I'm not getting any respect this way because people are like, do you know, certain people were laughing at me, like, because I was clueless, like, it was
Yeah.
like when you start anything, you're clueless.
Exactly,
But like,
yeah.
but like they obviously, you know, had grown up doing that sort of stuff, so they were completely, they obviously don't think that people can be clueless at something.
No.
Do you know? So that was like tough, like, do you know? So I was like, right, I'll fucking, if they want to make a laugh at me here, so alright, I'll just work here as hard as I can. Like, I'll work like a fucking dog, and I'll get respect that way. Do you
Yeah,
know?
okay.
So that's when I started building up the mental toughness. Do you know?
Okay.
That's when I would go in and like didn't care what fucking the weather was like, didn't care how hot it was. Whatever job was to be done, I'll just do it. Do you know?
Yeah,
I'll get
yeah.
on the shovel. I'll show these fuckers. Like, do you know? I'll go down the trench. Don't care how long the trench is. I'll sand what has to be sanded up. I'll cover up whatever has to be covered up. Whatever has to be moved, I'll move it physically. Give it to me. Like, do you know?
Okay,
I'll
yeah.
fucking take it. Like, whatever. I don't care. And like, I would. That was how I kind of like validated myself, as in like, I'm not great at it. But then as I went on and I was consistently just working hard, and like people were noticing it. Like, they're like, geez, he's a great worker. Like, do you know? Do you know? But they're like, I know they were saying like, he's a great worker, but in the same sentence, he couldn't reverse a truck to fucking save his life.
Yeah,
do you know that
yeah,
kind? Do you know that
yeah,
kind of way?
yeah.
But he's a great worker. Like,
Yeah.
do you know? And then like I would always shy away from. I used the excuse for years that I couldn't get my truck license because my eye.
Ah.
That was an excuse, like, do you know, and I was like, oh, I can't do it with my eye, like, do you know. And there was a lot of reversing of trailers and stuff like that I would, do you know.
That's a hard thing to do.
Awful hard.
Awful hard.
Yeah, try and doing them with like cable on the back or a digger or something, like, do you know. And like, I'd get in and I'd be jackknifing it, and I'd be just making a
Hames of it.
hames of it, like, do you know,
Yeah.
making a pure hames of it, like, do you know. And and I just kept trying every time I'd get a bit of time on my own, I just kind of hop in, reverse it a small bit when no one was looking. I'd always have
Yeah.
to make sure no one was looking, like, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
And and eventually I got the hang of it, and I was like, right, I can sort of do it here, not at an unbelievable level, like it was slow enough still, but
Yeah.
it was there,
You were
it
still
was
able to do
moving
it.
the way it was supposed to be moving.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll get the license now, and yeah, I suppose just I got the license then, and then I got a job on one of the crews, and I was driving the truck, you know. So I suppose the moral of the story there would be like just, you know, keep going, like, you know, and when it's shit, just, you know, it's not always going to be shit, like, you know.
So then, okay, so now the life that you live now is very different to
Oh,
that.
completely different, yeah. Yeah, completely different.
So what took you back from Australia? So were you working as a personal trainer? Did you move away from that line of work and start working as a personal trainer in Australia?
No, that was the goal actually, to go out there and work as a personal trainer. But
Okay.
again, as I was saying, like when there's two people there,
Yeah, you
you
can't.
know,
Yeah.
you can't just be selfish and put the whole relationship under pressure, you know.
Yeah.
So I had to be mindful of that, and then just fell into the comfortness of construction. Whereas in like,
So you worked up to a place now where you're actually feeling good at, oh, I'm actually good at, being the labourer.
oh yeah, I'd worked up to that. Like I was, yeah, and I could read. I'd worked up to a way that I could read the plans, and I knew where the cables was going, and like it was starting to get. I won't say it was starting to get enjoyable, but it was starting to get a little bit more.
But easier.
Yeah, because I just didn't give up. Like, you know,
Yeah.
that was the consistency thing. You know, that we
Okay.
spoke about in the first episode. It was just consistently, like, even though I knew people were laughing at me, or maybe they weren't, maybe I was perceiving that, but
Yeah.
I had a feeling they were. But I just kept going in every day. I'd never call in sick, and I just build up that mental resilience then to just
Be
keep
able
going
to do
in.
hard things.
Yeah, yeah. And some days were good, some days were bad, you know, and that's fine, like, you know. And then that just kind of, I took that with me then, as in, like, you know, things are never as bad as they seem. So,
Yeah.
like, anything that was kind of came at me then, I was kind of dealing with it better than I would have.
Take it face
Yeah,
on.
and like all the OCD and stuff was gone. Like, I mean, you wouldn't be working in there with OCD, like you're.
Oh, Jesus,
you
no.
know,
Like,
yeah,
because where would you wash your hands?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah, yeah.
So then if we look at, okay, the things that you're doing now and, like, you don't drink now.
No, I've stopped now. So I stopped drinking the 12th of December last year.
Okay.
Yeah. So I had made a decision. I was like, I'm going to drink tonight. It was my Christmas party for the gym.
Okay.
So I was like, and after that, then I was like, you know, I just, I just have a busy life, and it takes a couple of days for me to come around again. So I was like, and then it just clicked at me. I was like, I don't actually need this anymore. Do you know? I don't actually need it. I obviously don't have a great relationship with it.
Yeah.
So like, you know, like,
So it wasn't it wasn't adding any value to your life. So
absolutely
and
not.
you weren't actually losing
Absolutely
anything.
not.
From
You know,
getting
and it
rid of
didn't taste nice. Like, you know, like
Yeah.
I wouldn't ever have a pint and be like, oh, that was unreal. Like, you know, like it was never.
Gavin's probably sitting here wondering, what is he talking about?
So yeah, it was just more. It was to fill the drinking and all was to fill a gap that I had, that I didn't know what else to put into it. You know, so I was just put the drink into it, like, you know, as
So-
a way to go and meet people or
Okay.
something like that. You know, as in, like, I didn't want to sit on my own.
Yeah.
Scary to sit on your own. Do you know what thoughts might come up when you're sitting on your own? Do you know?
But how have you? So would you say you filled that gap now? And what have you filled it with?
Yeah, I've definitely felt that. I love my life now. Like, do you
Good.
know, I love getting up in the mornings, and I love going to the gym, doing my training. I love training my clients in there as well. Like, you know, I just love that area. That's my space. Like that. Like, I really, like, I never ever drive up to that door with tears in my eyes.
Yeah.
Like, and if they are, they're tears of joy.
Yeah.
Do you know? So there's never, like, I'm never like dreading going in there. I love going in there. That's my place. Like, you know, there's never a day I pull up to that gym and be like, oh, here we go again. Like, never. And like, hopefully it never gets to that stage. Do you know?
And do you do a lot of work on yourself then in terms of trying to manage your mental health, or maybe exploring different things? Because, like, over the years, like, I know because I know you, but for people that don't know you, it's like, how has this massive transformation, like, what have you done to open your awareness and to be able to speak like this, or to be open to different things? like what sort of things have you tried along the way to try and help yourself find that part of you where like, okay, no, I am like
Yeah.
happy with my life now.
Yeah. YouTube is my therapy.
Okay.
Yeah, YouTube is my therapy. Like the resources on YouTube is just like, it's just like I'll follow like a couple of people. I don't follow too many people. I'll follow and I'll like listen to their advice and kind of, find someone that makes sense to you, like, and some of the stuff they say, like, and like you have to sit down. Like I was like, continuous patterns and stuff like. And I remember in the gym, and I just kind of like I would go on walks with no music, so I could just kind of, like, I'd gone through a stage where I was trying to like just figure myself out, like, I was I was kind of going in and out of relationships that just weren't for me, like, no disrespect to
Yeah,
anyone
yeah,
that was
yeah.
in the relationship, but I just wasn't happy, like,
Yeah.
and like I couldn't give anything to like I can't give my all to someone if I'm not if I can't give it to myself, you have to be happy, I feel, in a relationship or out of a relationship.
Yeah, I
Do
think you need to be happy within yourself
Exactly.
to be able to add something to
Yeah.
the relationship rather
Yeah.
than finding happiness just from being
Yeah.
in the relationship.
Yeah, and like, and then I kind of had to sit down. I sat down in kind of silence, and I was like, just kind of replaying kind of my life over in my head, I suppose, and just kind of just scenarios, different scenarios, and kind of seeing similarities in the scenarios, and like, I suppose then I had to try and find it, like, what's the root cause here, like, and like the root cause was just me not having any purpose, like, not like, you know, without sounding too wishy-washy, but not learning how to love yourself, like, that kind of way, and that was kind of, I had to kind of sit down and be like, right, I need to stop making these continuous mistakes, like, whether that be like the drinking or the getting into wrong relationships, and like, so I had to sit down and I'd be like, right, I need to find something here that's like, that's going to give me a purpose, that's going to make me fulfilled, like, and the gym is definitely that, and then High Rocks, I suppose, was another one. Then I kind of stumbled upon High Rocks, and that was kind of like, as soon as I dabbled in that, I was like,
Hooked already.
this is on another level. Like, this is like, think of, I don't even know how you can explain it. It's just like feeling alive. Like, when I am in the gym and I'm doing that training, I'm just like I can't even explain it. I feel like I could run through a wall. Like,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? It just lights me up. Like, I know, and the feeling, if you could bottle that feeling up, like, and just, that's just the feeling I get from it. Like, and like, I don't care what's on the workout. There could be 100 burpees. It could be like whatever the run is, however hard it is, and it's just like, just sitting in that suffering and just being like, it just, yeah, I don't know, it's hard to explain it. I just love it. Like, I just absolutely love it. Yeah. And
So what advice would you give to someone who maybe is struggling to know what's their purpose in life, or maybe they're currently existing and they're not actually living their life, they're just kind of like fucking wasting it away and not really doing anything that they are passionate about? What would you say to them to try and help them get moving forward?
I would say, first off, I would probably say, go and find someone that's in a position that you potentially want to be in, and just tell them how you feel. I think talking, once you put it out there, it's out there. It's out there, and then you can sort of reverse engineer that then, and you can find kind of ways, how to maneuver that. But I would definitely seek help. Don't waste time on your own trying to figure it out on your own. Like, you'll waste years doing that. There's so much resources now, and there's so much, like, people that are just dying to help people. So, like, don't, like, just kind of put your ego to one side, I would say, and just kind of seek someone out that's doing something that you potentially want to do, or kind of excelling in something that you want to excel in, like, and just kind of, interact with them, and ask them, what did they do, like, or what do you recommend I would, like, what they done mightn't work for you, but parts of it might work for you, that kind of way. And I would say, find a passion passion or a purpose or something that's, you know, more than what you're doing in your daily life, like, you know, something that like
Something that lights you up.
lights
Like,
you up. Exactly.
yeah.
I always tell people, like, always, if it lights you up, then there's a reason why it's lighting you up.
Yeah.
You know?
And to kind of tap into
Yeah.
that and get,
Yeah.
I suppose, more aware. Okay, well, why
Yeah.
does this light me up?
Yeah. Yeah. And just, I would say, be careful who you tell your vision to or your dream. You know? Just remember that it's your vision, it's not their vision. So they aren't going to see your vision the way that you see it. So just be careful. Again, that comes around to the circle of people. You know? Like, you don't want to be, you don't want to have worked the courage up to come up with an idea and then go and say it to someone and they'll be like, no, that will never happen. Like, do you know,
Yeah.
that person doesn't realize the power they have in that moment. They can crush someone there. Like, do you know, that can completely suppress someone down and make them never want to go. And so just be careful who you tell your visions and your ideas to, because yeah.
So what is next for Ciarán Quinn? You don't have to tell us the full vision, but what's on the cards? What is something that you're like really want to work towards or build towards?
So obviously my health and fitness is massive. Like my main driver is that I want to be this longevity. I want to be healthy and I want to be in a good place for when I have a family, that, you know, I can pass knowledge on to my kids, that, you know, that they don't have to struggle, or, you know, they can talk, and that's the main driver. And I just want to be healthy when I have a family, like, you know, that I can just move around and get out and play in the garden or whatever, like, you know, like, I don't have it, like, I'm just visioning it as it is now, but that's my main driver, as in, like, I'll never like have to get fit when I have kids. Like, I'll be fit, like, you know, and I'll be strong, and
you'll be feeling your best.
Yeah,
like.
exactly. And like, that's the vision that you want them to see, you know, because like they'll do what they see, like, you know.
Yeah, monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah, so that's what drives me. Like, that drives me every day to kind of be the best version that I can be. And, you know, like, I've had to make sacrifices for that, you know, as in, like, you don't get like that, like, you have to make sacrifices. It takes time, it takes dedication, it takes discipline, and I'm okay with that. Like, you know, I like, as far as I'm concerned, I love what I'm doing, like, and just I am conscious that I don't want, like, I know high rocks and all that lights me up, but I'm conscious that I don't want that to be just like as I'm seen, you know, or like the only thing I rely on, because like, you know, like, we have to live in the real world too. Like, that can be taken away from you in the blink of an eye. Do you know? So, like, I'm conscious that I want to have other stuff, that I'm not reliant on that, and then I fall into a hole if that doesn't go to, like, you know. So, like, the fact that this podcast has come along, and like, this is really kind of, I'm very passionate about this, like, you know, and this is another thing that I can add to my life, you know, that I can add to my schedule. To, like, the more things you do that you love, the happier you're going to be. It's as simple as that. It's not rocket science, like, you know.
Yeah.
So
I think just to try and get better at that, at adding in things, do more things that you love, rather than doing things that you feel like you just have to do, and then living a life that you don't actually want to live.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for sharing your story.
Welcome.
I feel like, you know, a professional interviewer here.
You've done a good job.
Yeah, thanks very much. So thanks very much for listening or for watching. You can follow us on Instagram at Below the Surface Podcast, and please like, share, subscribe, all of those fancy things, and we hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next one.
See you in the next one.